Hey J babies, welcome back to.
It's Wagwan J babies.
Who cares? I'm the one.
It's my channel. You need to,
I don't care.
You need to follow due procedure.
I don't care. Hey J babies, what's up? I'm sorry, I'm laughing so much. You guys, welcome back to our channel, my channel, our channel. What do you do? How it is? You know what's going on. You know the vibes. First, I'll start with, if you're not a J babe or a J baby, like
I'm the only J babe. They are J babies.
Okay, they're J babies.
Yes.
Hey, like, what are you doing? Like, why haven't you gotten into it?
So sarapakaram to my channel.
So you guys, please, like, we're even begging, subscribe, like, share, support.
On today's video, we're going to be answering some questions on toxic masculinity. Everything you need to know, you get me? So let's run it up and get right into the video. So we have a list of, how many questions?
6.
We have a list of 6 questions. So we'll be asking each other, but then obviously also giving our opinions on them. Question 1. How do you define toxic masculinity?
Okay. So I'll define toxic masculinity as like set of rules, like holistic rules that dictate how men and boys should and should not behave, think, and feel. Yeah. Like the whole toxic masculinity thing comes in when the standard of how men should live now becomes, I don't know, like should follow set of rules, like a standard, and like when you don't conform to the set of rules, then like,
you're not a man.
You're not a man.
Like yeah, exactly the same thing. So like toxic masculinity is telling a man how he's supposed to behave. So the men that are not that way, they suffer it. Do you get? Yeah. So and also, toxic masculinity is not just promoted, it's promoted by the entire society. So even women promote toxic masculinity. When you feel like a man is supposed to be a certain way, then something is wrong somewhere, and that is toxic masculinity.
Yeah, like now, like the whole like avoidance of femininity, like
exactly.
Yeah, like,
men that can't
dominance, toughness.
Exactly, that a man has to provide. Like no,
like, you can't provide if you want, baby. Like this is stuff we see day to day, and people think is normal. Like baby,
or like
not
a guy decides to like, I don't know, dress alte, and then people start calling him gay. Like, or if a guy like does his like manicure and pedicure, exactly. Or a man crying, that a man can't cry. Like what's that? Is he a robot? Like the whole idea of repressing emotions, self-reliance through like mechanical skills, because they think that's a man thing. And like once you're out of that box and there's something wrong with you, maybe like you're gay. Like that's how most people like nowadays. It's just the insult now is gay.
So do you see any biological component to like the whole idea of toxic masculinity, or do you just think that the whole thing is a social construct?
Well, I mean, like we all know, social constructs are based on several things. So biology definitely plays a role. I remember in one of my Nigeria 100 episodes coming out, a guy said the foundation of society itself started with survival of the fittest. So who was stronger ruled all. Yeah, do you get?
That's the whole idea. Like the stronger survive and the weak have to perish.
Exactly. So like the fact that men have always been physically superior meant that there were certain functions they needed to like fulfill. Yeah. There are certain things in place set for them because they were physically superior.
Like once a man is not strong,
exactly, he's like he's not a man, he's a
like,
woman.
And you're a man, no, you can't carry this.
Exactly. So like I definitely feel like there's a biological aspect, the makeup of how a man has always seen, like how he's supposed to be, muscular,
how he's supposed to see himself.
He should carry cement, stuff like that. Obviously adds to the social construct that men should be a certain way. So
yeah, I agree with you on that. But baby, I'm a psychologist, so we're gonna look at it from the psychological and social and mental view more than like the biological view. But yes, I agree that it plays a role.
Research has shown that men have a hard time expressing their emotions. Why is that, and what are the consequences for themselves and others?
Okay, so funny thing like I've noticed is that like growing up, boys actually like show more emotions than girls.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it gets to a point that like when the parents start passing comments like, "You're a man, don't cry. You're a boy, don't cry," stuff like that. Like growing up, it now makes them want to be tough because it's still like they've also seen their father like do. I'm sure most guys have never seen their father cry. Or show certain emotions because it makes them feel weak and vulnerable. And according to society, that's not how men should be. Men should not be vulnerable. That's a women thing because it's just the way their parents have brought them up and the way society is, and the consequences, bro, their relationships, their mental health. Because guys, if you notice, most men don't like to acknowledge that the problem is
from them.
They would men don't want to go to therapy because they don't see the need, they don't feel the need. Their own is just, I'm working, I'm trying to get money, I'm trying to be the head of the family, I'm trying to yada yada yada. Bro, you need help.
You need help.
So like, I mean, like there's like consequences on like a personal level and even in like society, your workplace, you like everything. So like
especially because I feel like there's definitely a shift in today's society. We have the people that acknowledge the existence of this thing and people that don't. And imagine as a guy, you jam a babe that realizes that she wants a man that can acknowledge his feelings and come to terms with when he's doing something wrong and stuff. Like that relationship can't work.
It cannot work
because you feel like it's just money that you have to bring to the table,
and you have to be strong. And she's the one that has to be the weaker one, or the one that has to cry and be vulnerable. But your own is just to
exactly. Meanwhile,
and you can show emotion and you can share with her.
Exactly.
That relationship won't work.
Low communication,
even with your family.
Yes, now most guys have not, like, they don't remember last time they said I love you to their parents. Do you get?
So like these things go a long way. And the whole thing is, it starts from family, basically, because from your house, if you don't like say I love you, like simple hugs, you don't even say simple stuff like good night. You don't like when like you don't share emotions. You can't remember. Like I can remember talking to some of my guy friends, and I'm like, oh, like when last did you cry? They're like, I can't remember the last time I cried, and I'm like, I still cried like maybe 5 times. And then they'll be like, you're a girl. I'm like, I don't cry because I'm a girl. Like that's just how I am. Like it's my person. It's not because I'm a girl.
Another reason why, people used to feel like I over-exaggerate when I see certain memes or certain drills, and I'm like, because like I don't support things that promote these ideas. You know, like when you see a joke of like, okay, like on Twitter, for example, a dad will see his son like crying or something, start calling his son, like his little son, gay, and then everybody in the comment section, like all these memes, like my homies don't cry.
So how do you expect that child to grow up and want to show emotion? Because he feels he'll be shamed for it.
Exactly.
He feels like my other brothers, like my fathers, people that look like me don't do these things. So why should I? Like these things, like it all boils down to representation. So like
representation.
Like it's what the young kids growing up see that they do. They start doing and they think is right, not knowing that it's not right. So really, like the fathers, you all like should do better. So the people, like the young ones growing up now, won't like be the same, won't fall into the same trap, because it's a trap.
It is
into the same cage, into the same prison. Yeah, it's a lifelong trap. Then so yeah. Okay, what role does toxic masculinity play in sexual violence, ranging from sexual harassment to rape?
Baby, toxic masculinity has a huge role to play in sexual harassment.
Big one.
Let's start with the fact that yes, so it's individuals that don't have sense that used to do all those things.
Yeah.
But if we go back to the root cause, it's because toxic masculinity promotes the idea that men have a right over women.
Yeah, and
we are properties.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think everything, like the whole issue comes from the way men objectify women.
Yep.
Like the way they see women as objects that they can have their way with. Women like and also in the way they also feel they're doing everything. So like the only thing you have to offer
is your body.
And why can't you give it to me? If you can't give it to me, I'm gonna force it.
Exactly. That's just it. I said that's just
basis.
Somebody asked me a question that why do women feel the need to tax men so much? Why do they ask them for money so much? And I'm like, well, it's society. There's relationships have become so transactional. The coexistence of men and women nowadays is so transactional. A man feels like he is the one providing, especially since society.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yes.
Especially since society favors him. So if he's the one making more in society, he's the one having the most paid jobs. Obviously, his head will swell. You feel like he's the king of the world. Isn't there a song even named that it's a man's world? Like,
yeah.
So obviously, men like recognizing that they are privileged and using it for bad. Do you get? Will obviously keep women under in terms of their bodies, in terms of their expression. So it doesn't even just stay at sexual harassment or rape. It's like, it's everything. It's actually everything. But when it comes to sexual harassment, it's like just walking on the street. Did you see that video that went viral on Twitter?
I did.
A lady was going through the market. She was wearing a normal dress. Nobody should come
like to me just because she has nice.
She has
like,
a nice
whose
body.
problem is that?
And she was walking through a marketplace. They call it computer village, and there was no woman in sight. One guy ran up to her, grabbed her ass, and ran away. And all the men were hailing. All the men were shouting and screaming. Is this society we find ourselves in now?
And because they feel is Yaba markets. Yaba, like, guy, you cannot, guys. Okay, there was this day I was working in Yaba market, like all the guys, they're always dragging girls, like, auntie, come out, buy now. This one is your size, take this one. So like, there was this day, this guy now touched me. Yeah. I was like, don't touch me. He's like, oh, what's in your body? I did not touching me. I give it to my brother. Yeah. Like there was this day, like. There was one this day with my mom and I, and this guy kept following me. My mother was like, if you don't leave my daughter alone now, they're like, you almost want to a fight because they're like, hey, why are you fighting? I'm like, you touch her. They're like, it's just how men see women as objects that they can toy with. And like, if you guys don't see it as wrong, then there's a problem.
Exactly, because you know how guys are always quick to say there's not all men thing, not all men.
Like, it's not all men, but
we
it's majority
of men.
It's
not all men. But like, for example, in that marketplace, not one man stood up for her.
So how can we know?
When you are running a social experiment and 20 out of 20 men show the same behavior when it comes to objectification of a woman, it's all men. Scientifically, it's all men because like
it's majority of
there's not even a balance between the men that do it and the men that don't do it.
And even the men that don't do it do not even speak up.
Exactly, you don't speak up. So far, you're not an active what's ally. You're not actively against the wrongdoings of your guy friends or guys in general. You're the same because it's not just about you and what you bring. It's about how you're teaching other people. It's about how you're promoting,
how you're trying to change stuff and educate yourself and people around you. Yeah, like it's also how like from small, most guys like they play with their guy friends. They play with their boy toys and stuff. Like they don't really know girls. So like when puberty hits, the first interaction they have with girls is sexual interaction. So they already see women as objects. So
that is not.
And that's when they're still young. So
play with their toys and stuff like they don't really often.
That's why they're still young. So like they'll grow up into thinking it's my rights for me to have my way with this woman.
And you know that.
And when they can't have their way, it's like the whole ego thing now comes to play. They feel they must have their way. That's why this whole psychopath people that rape and that do, like, that's just the whole point. Because like I'm like, if I tell you no, why can't you leave me alone? The reason why you can't leave me alone is because you feel you have a right over my body.
Exactly.
Which is not true. Now you own me. You get me.
And you know that stupid thing they used to tell us, that if a guy is mean to you, like when we're small,
it's because he likes you, bro. Who does that?
And I think
my teachers in primary school used to say, like, if anything happened between, like, a girl and a guy, and the girl now ends up crying, they'll be like, oh, why are you crying? He likes you, can't you see? I'm like, are you mad?
Really?
Like, sis.
And I feel like that thing actually plays a role in major relationships today.
Yeah,
because there are women that will say, I like it when my guy beats me. I like it.
And again, they don't now scold the guy. You get, so he grows up into thinking it's nice to be mean to women, it's nice to do stuff to women, and like, because they think they will always get away with it. And the funny thing is that, yes, like, they're always getting away with it. That's why things are still like this today. Guy, it's 2020 and we're still crying about these same things our ancestors have been crying about. Like,
make it make sense.
Make it make sense, bro. Serious.